What's good, y'all? My name is Dylan Green, and this is Real Notes, a space dedicated to blurring the cultural and artistic lines between rap and film. I'm here to chop it up with everyone from rappers and producers to journalists and video directors about their relationship to movies and how, if at all, film inspires their craft. My guest this week is Nadirah Simmons, an archivist, historian, social media manager for The Late Show with Stephen Colbert, and founder and CEO of The Gumbo, a hip-hop publication and cultural hub dedicated to black women. We spoke about Rare Vinyl, the documentary Summer of Soul, her family's love for the Godfather series, how her work on The Late Show influences her work at The Gumbo, her love of state property, currency, and Alchemist, and the importance of documenting black history. Come fuck with us.
Also, I peeped that you have a New York Yankees hat on, Dylan. We will discuss this because you know I'm a diehard Phillies fan, and I would like to know what is going on. You're from North Jersey, though, so I'll let you get away with that.
Yeah.
that will be the excuse, because usually I'm like, what is this? Yankees.
See, okay. I'm
Are
kind
you a
of
baseball fan?
I'm a poser, bro. I'm a full-on poser. I saw this hat. I love the yellow and the pink, and
Yellow
like
is cute. I like it.
thank you. And Yankee fitteds are kind of just like aesthetic now. Like everybody wears them.
They are.
And I was and like I've never owned one. So I was like about
you was doing
good. If I was so like my whole thing was like if I'm gonna own one, I want to own one that's gonna like stand out and not just be like the black and white and the blue and white. So I saw this and was like, yeah, we got to do it.
Wow. All right. Well, I respect the color scheme. I like it. I think that is cool. That is cool. We gotta get a Phillies one that looks like that.
See, there actually is one. Hat Club dropped this. They did this incredible drop of baseball hats based on cereal boxes, and they have a Phillies one that's Corn Pops themed. It's yellow.
Right now, stop.
It's yellow and red. I'm gonna send you a link later. Like they sold out in 20 minutes. Like you can't buy them off the site. I bought
what?
I got a Wheaties colored one. I want like they had Wheaties.
That's fire.
It was Wheaties, Cinnamon Toast Crunch, Corn Pops, fucking Corn Flakes, Tricks. There's a bunch like cookies and cream, Cookie Crisp. I'm gonna send you a link. They're all so beautiful.
You're getting me very excited. Like I need to own that. What?
Like you'll probably be able to find them on Grailed for like fucking $200, but like, you know.
But I know the game. I know how it goes. Unfortunately, they be getting, but it's whatever.
We all know how it goes. It's just so stressful.
Nasty out here.
My God, son. What's cracking, everybody? Welcome back. We're already into it, which is always a good sign. This is the 9+10 episode of Real Notes. This is the 21st episode of Real Notes. I hope someone listening gets that, because I was just thinking about it last night. Dylan, CineMasai. I got a lot of names. Those are just two of them. I'm around. I'm show fatigued, and I'm with someone who's super dope. It's every guest is super special. We all go over this, but like I don't even know how to describe my next guest. She's a curator. She does social media managing for a huge late night show. She's a fucking she's just like a culture person who like brings everything down. Like there's so much history and so much passion and so much like knowledge behind everything that my guest here does. We got fucking Nadirah Simmons, head of the Gumbo, and all sorts of crazy shit in the house. Thank you for coming on my shit. I appreciate you.
Thank you. That was such a great intro. Maybe if I start DJing, I'll use that as a drop. I like that.
Oh shit, that's a first. Wow. I mean, you should. Like, you basically already do. Like,
yeah, just DJing is like too much work. I'd rather leave it to like the people that could really do that. I tried to learn before because my uncle's a DJ, and I was like, nah, bro, like I'm good. Like all of this like scratching and like it was too much. I'm good.
Yeah, does he
playlist?
does he do like traditional DJing, or does he use like Serato and all that shit?
Yes, he definitely uses Serato, but when he was teaching me, we were like in his crib, he pulled out like the vinyls and put them on and was going ham. And I was like, yeah. He's like, no, like really scratch. I'm like, I can't do what you do. Like it wasn't working. So maybe I'll revisit that one day when I'm older, but I'm good on making my playlist right now.
Felt. Yeah, you know, like it's I've been in the same position. I brought when I worked at one of my first media jobs, I like just bought a copy of no, I got a copy of Dilla's Donuts, and I was like, oh, look at this shit. And they were like, oh, do you scratch? I was like, nah. My old boss was like, do you scratch? And I was like, nah, I wish I don't. And it was just like,
Yo,
you
wait,
know.
that's so funny because I just went to the record store yesterday and I was in there buying up hella stuff. And this guy was like, oh, do you DJ? And I was like, no, I just like music. And he was like, that's cool too. I was like,
Money is money to them, so you know, like
yeah, look, come buy them. We don't care what you do.
yeah. And you found Superfly.
I was
Like,
Yeah,
wow.
I know. I was gassed. I have a problem. I love going to the record store. It's also very therapeutic for me. But yeah, I was just like walking by this record store that I thought had closed. I saw they were open. So I was like, I gotta go in. Yeah, and I was just like just going through every single crate and found that. It was $5. And I was like, yeah.
What?
And yeah, we're gonna purchase this.
Wow.
And
$5 for fucking Curtis Mayfield's Superfly. I was just talking to somebody
go
about that 2 days ago.
go
That's so
album.
crazy.
Yeah, very, very I was very, very happy. Very, very, very happy.
Okay, now I'm curious. Before I get into like my actual questions, what's
Uh-huh.
the best, cheapest record you found at a store that isn't the one we just talked about?
Okay, all my vinyls are actually right next to me, so I'm trying to like look right now.
Yeah, mine too. I got my crate like right next to my feet.
I want to say, oh my god, you know what? I'm actually about to dig through them. Give me 1 second, because there's
Let's
like
go.
so many. I feel like, wait, this is such a good question. I like have to answer it in like a good way, so we got to make sure we have the right. I want to say, what is the Stevie album I just got? Okay, here you go.
Ooh.
Original Musicarium one. I love this album, and I feel like anything Stevie should just be extremely expensive because he's also a goat. So that was like
Right.
$15, and I was like, wow, this is getting cops. So definitely that. I've definitely gotten a lot of EWF from the record store by me too. That's been like anywhere from $5 to $10. So I'm like, yo, like these
Jeez.
also shouldn't be this cheap. I got a live Frankie Beverly and Maze album I also got the other day that was cheap as heck as well. So stuff like that when I feel like I'm really getting like goats, just like the Curtis Mayfield one, and they're less than $15, I'm like, wow, this is iconic. So yeah, definitely anything Stevie Wonder. I have a lot of Stevie Wonder, and like I'm also very cheap sometimes. So the fact that I have so many of them and they're like $5, $10, $15, yeah, it's crazy.
I feel it. I think I can't find it because I've been looking for it forever. But my favorite, I found the Clips's Mr. Me Too as a single. Like it was at a record store in Princeton.
Oh,
It must have been for like somewhere between $5 and $10. And like,
what?
yeah.
Oh my God. Wait,
But
that just reminds me. I definitely got State Property's album on vinyl, and I feel like
I
that one was,
I
yeah.
saw it's
And everyone who
beautiful.
knows me knows I love them, and that was very, very cheap. So I was very hyped. I found out it was the clean version though, which like I was like, I want to hear some curse words on this, but it was still not cheap. So that was another good find where I'm like, dang, like this is an iconic moment in rap history, and I got it for cheap. So it was good.
Jeez. Yeah,
Yeah.
you can't listen to censored state prop. That feels like
It
sacrilege,
It
honestly.
felt so wrong, and it was so funny because my dad is also a big State Property fan. So I like FaceTimed him when I like put it on the record player, and it was the clean version. He was like, "Why is this a clean version of Temporary Relief? What's going on?" He's like, "You got a clean vinyl?" I'm like, "Yeah, I didn't even realize it."
Hey, like like you found it, so I guess it doesn't really matter. Like
Yeah,
the fact that you have it is enough.
exactly. It still feels good.
That's beautiful. So let me ask you the first thing I ask everybody who comes on here.
Mhm.
What's the last movie or TV show that you watched that you have a strong opinion about?
Ooh, Summer of Soul. Last movie that I watched, I had a very strong opinion about.
I still haven't seen it. How was it?
I loved it, and it just made me start thinking about all of just the Black music festivals or performances or shows or just things that we've done in the music space and in the entertainment space that have either been documented and we don't know about, or just weren't documented and we also don't know about. So I had a very, very strong opinion, not necessarily about the film. It definitely like just brought out a lot of emotions for me. And I'm not from New York. So like even like going up to Harlem and knowing that like, wow, like one weekend they had Nina Simone like at this park that I've walked by before, like performing for like all these people. And I know like I never heard of this. Like, and I'm a history nerd. Like I will walk on the street and like type in the street's name and like type in history to see like who that person is. Or like if I go to like a different town, like I'll type in the town's name and like Black history. Like I'm a nerd like that. So like I felt like, dang, like I be researching all the time and I never knew that this existed. It just made me want to learn so much more about the stuff that has been documented that's probably in somebody's basement somewhere, or made me feel really like, dang, like there's so much that we've done and contributed that oftentimes doesn't get documented just because of how the world works and treats us. So definitely invokes some strong feelings in me.
Ah, totally. Like what was one of your favorite performances that you hadn't seen in there before? Because I know there's a lot going on in there. Like
Yes, definitely. So I love the Temptations. I'm definitely like a big Motown fan. So seeing David Ruffin, which I think they said was like right after his split from the Temptations, if I'm not mistaken. So just seeing him perform was crazy because I love him. I think he's great. I also love the Temptations movie. So anytime I get to see David Ruffin real in the flesh and see his performances makes me really, really excited. And the Fifth Dimension, which I actually, when I was in the record store the other day, that had so many vinyls by them. I never even like put a face to the group. Like I definitely heard some of their songs, and even watching the two members who were actually a part of the documentary talk about like, hey, like people thought we were like this white group, or they thought we could only make this sound, or just saw all of the different things that they talked about when it came to their performances and actually feeling at home coming to Harlem and getting to perform for Black people. Definitely, those were the two performances I really was like, wow, like this is crazy. They were all very, very, very good though. And then of course Nina, I love her. She's a goat.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah, she's
what yeah, like what else could be said about Nina? She's absolutely the GOAT.
yeah.
And yeah, it's like you talking about the Temptations, I gotta ask, did Otis perform? Was Otis there? And so
Nobody is coming to see you, Otis. No, he's not
I
there.
mean
I do love Otis though, but that's just my favorite line from a movie ever.
Oh yeah, me too. Like yeah, like hearing Meg drop it in Thought Shit, like I've been thinking about it a lot, and then the clip went viral again, and just like and like having to explain that to people and
No.
have people be like, "What does this mean?" And I'm like, "Oh, you don't know?" And it's just like ain't
People
nobody
were
coming to
asking
see
what it
you.
means.
Like not me specifically, but like there's like people online
Yeah.
were like, "Oh, that's where that came from," you know? Like people haven't seen that movie.
That
People
movie is
haven't.
so that's one of the many movies that well, one of the few movies that I've watched, I can guarantee you at least like 200 times. Like not exaggerating. Like I love that movie so much.
Yeah, like yeah, like the lot, like the movie is great, and then just like that, like not even just the line itself, but like the reading of just like ain't nobody coming to see you, Otis, like just so beautiful. I always, if I ever got to if I ever got to do a piece on the movie, I really want to know how many times they did takes for that. I want to know how many takes they did of that one
Yeah.
line because it's just the delivery is perfect. Like
It was perfect. Oh my God. Now I'm like, I gotta watch this movie later. I haven't watched it in a while.
but yeah, between Summer of Soul and the Woodstock 99 documentary, I've really been trying to get back into that type of vibe, because the last movie like that I saw was probably Chappelle's Block Party, because I think I watched it again for the first time in years, and like I have my feelings about modern day Dave Chappelle, but Chappelle's Block Party is really incredible. Like
I
such a
really
good documentary.
loved it. Oh, I love, and you know what? Now that you said that, I need to go back and rewatch it because I have not watched that in a very, 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 very long time. Really good performances. Wow. Yeah, I'm gonna add that to my list tonight too.
Damn. That's so good. So for you, like what's the first movie experience you can remember having, like when you were younger? Like it could be at the theater, your cousin's house, it could be like at a random what like just wherever. Like the first time you remember taking in a movie.
Okay, I definitely, which is very funny. I feel like my first movie experience, I don't know why this always comes to my head, but it's Shrek, and I saw it in 3D. And that's one of the first things, like, whenever I think of going to the movies, like that image of me sitting in the movie theater in South Jersey with the glasses on and like seeing like Donkey come out, like that is my earliest memory, which is, I don't know why. I've definitely seen way more movies before that, but I don't remember them. I remember Shrek in 3D at Regal Cinema in my hometown.
I didn't even know they showed Shrek, like the first Shrek movie in 3D. That's crazy.
I don't know if it was even the first one. That's the funny part. Like I know there were
Okay.
so many, so I don't even know if it was the first one. But like for some reason, when I think of movie theaters, like that's the image that comes to my head is literally little me and like my homies, somebody's parent. I don't even think, yeah, somebody's parent with us, and then like Shrek coming through. Did my parents look after that? Now I'm trying to remember who took me. I just remember myself and like the homies on the side and some 3D glasses. So
That's
yeah.
hilarious. Do you remember whether or not you like enjoyed it, or like if you liked it or whatever?
I definitely did like it. I feel like the storyline in Shrek is just very cool. Like it's cool, it's fun. It's like the perfect kid movie. I remember the music. I remember like just the character that like Eddie Murphy played, just being so like just present like throughout the movie, but also like in my mind, even when I left, like wow, like Donkey's really funny, and like people like quoting him in school. So yeah, I was into it. I haven't watched it in years though, but I was into it at the time.
Felt it just turned 20 this year. It came out in 2001, I believe, which is wild.
That is making me feel like that maybe it was the first one because we also lived very close to the movie theater. Like literally,
Mm,
like if we wanted to walk, we could have. So yeah.
wow.
The first one, yeah, I would have been 6. Oh God. Oh Lord. Stop. 20 years makes me feel very old. I'm
Oh
not
man.
old, but it just
Yeah.
makes me feel old.
Nah, I feel it. It's weird because like, especially now because like 2000s nostalgia is starting to come around like everywhere. So it's like because like with the 90s we we were kids in the 90s and like we were growing up, but like the 2000s is where we all be like came of age.
Yeah.
So like that particular hit of nostalgia is like wow, like it's been so long since like plain white tees and fucking like as told by
Yeah.
Ginger
That is
and
my
like
show. That's one of my favorite. Yo, that show is such an important show. So well done. They changed their outfits every episode, which is fire. Like the storylines
hmm
and stuff they talked about. Fire show. Literally one of the greatest cartoons of all time. That show's
yeah.
fire. So
And,
good.
yeah, and then on top of that, you got the Macy Gray intro. Like you can't beat it.
Banger. It's
Can't
crazy.
beat
Yo, it's so good. Now,
it.
honestly, you just made me so happy. Now I'm like cheesing OD, showing all my gums. I love that show. That show is so good.
The show is so good. And yeah, I'm happy you brought up the fact that they always change their outfits because I think they might have been the first, maybe not the first cartoon to ever do that, but like the first like cartoon of its kind that was like a sitcom to do that
Yeah.
maybe because like oh, don't quote me on that. But like it was a big deal that they decided to have
Yeah.
them wear different clothes every episode. I noticed that too when I was younger. Like, wow, like they really like, like the Simpsons and them, they wear the same clothes every day and like
Same white tee and jeans every episode on Homer. Same white tee and jeans
like
every episode. Like, all right, bro, let's switch it up. Yeah.
one of my favorite modern, or like I don't know if modern's the right word, but like one of my favorite there's an episode of American Dad where Stan opens his closet and he just has like 60 of the same suit that
Dude.
he wears, and like he pulls it out the closet and he's just like, which one of these should I wear today? He's like,
Oh my
I'm gonna
God.
take this one. And it's like I love it when they
Same.
play with shit like that.
Yo, literally the same stuff all the time. So crazy.
So crazy. So like growing up, like so like consider especially considering that you live so close to a movie theater. Do you, like what's the movie, like was there a movie for you that made you fall in love with the art of movie making and just kind of like experience it more as something more than just like entertainment?
I definitely think Crooklyn is one of those movies for me. Brown Sugar is definitely one of those movies for me. Love and
Mm-hmm.
Basketball, The Wood, like those are movies I vividly remember watching because they either resonated with me, whether it was the hip hop in Brown Sugar or just
Right.
the family discussions in Crooklyn and all of that. Like I really, really, yeah, those are some movies that I'm like, oh my God, like not only is this enjoyable to watch, but I felt really connected to them and I felt like the stories were told so well for me. So those are definitely some that like immediately come to mind. I'm like, wow, like I love film.
Love and Basketball is something I've been thinking about a lot lately because I was watching a YouTube recap of it, and it made me realize like Omar Epps' character is like a whole asshole that whole movie. Like I don't understand why people like him as much as they do because it's like damn dude
Yo.
like like I really felt for Sanaa Lathan the whole time because like, she's in love with this guy
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
why
Yeah,
I
no,
feel so
definitely.
bad.
Yeah, she definitely. I mean, the funny thing about that movie too, and like me and all like my friends talk about this all the time. It's like, yo, like everybody watch that movie. It's like, yo, we're gonna go to college. It's gonna be like this perfect like love story. Like we're gonna excel, and then we're gonna do all this. And it's just funny because life does not really always work like that. But it
Nope.
was also good for me, at least in that movie, to see and have watched it before I was, heading off to school, is like knowing that, like, yeah, like people in life aren't perfect and people do make bad decisions. And also, people have emotions and feelings and all those other things. So, that's the one thing, at least for me, that the movie like really, really, really does, aside from the fact that I love both of them as actors and actresses.
Right, yeah.
Everyone in that movie is great, but it was good to see like all the different family dynamics, to see how she dealt with her family and how he dealt with his, and growing up and seeing the stuff that he saw, how it impacted him. I think it was just really important for me to see people just being human, because I love movies that are very honest. And sometimes, like, I want movies that give us hope, but I also like having a balance of movies that show humans as human beings,
Right.
because that's who we are. And I feel like sometimes when you get caught up in this idea of perfection, you'll like watch a movie like, now I have to aspire to this, which there's nothing wrong with aspiring to being great, but also knowing like, okay, this mistake I made is okay because I'm human and humans do this stuff. So definitely.
No, absolutely. Like, yeah, like Love and Basketball is really a character study in that way. Like
Yes,
it's and
absolutely.
I feel like that's a big part. I mean, like on top of the fact that like on top of the fact that Omar Epps and Sanaa Lathan have like a really good chemistry together, like I think that's a big part of the reason why that movie is still so like
Absolutely.
people love and Basketball. Like it's
Love,
definitely one of those
love,
classics.
love it, love it, love it. Definitely the chemistry, which is can be said for me for the other movies I named too. Like the chemistry of
Right.
the people in Crooklyn. I'm like, yo, like, are they really related? Like, this seems like a real family. Like, this is the dynamic seems just so real and so like personal. Like, I feel like I'm watching a legit family on screen. The same for like Brown Sugar, which of course I love. I love hip hop. I love seeing all of the rappers that I love in that movie, seeing Queen Latifah and seeing actors and actresses back in another movie that I love. I'm like, dang,
Mhm.
like this is great. So yeah, love it.
N- Nah, totally. Like I think I think maybe Brown Sugar might have been the first time I'd ever heard D'Angelo's Brown Sugar too, if I remember correctly.
Wow.
Maybe. I could be wrong about that, but I distinctly remember hearing that and being like, wow.
Yeah.
Like
He's such a goat. I love him too. He's so I love talent. Talent makes me so happy.
like yeah, yeah, and he's off the charts. Like he's only put out what? It's been 3 projects, right? He put out
I
Brown
want to
Sugar,
say
Voodoo, and then Black
Black
Messiah.
Messiah. Yeah. Yeah.
Like to make such an impact with just 3 projects is really and like Voodoo is like
Voodoo.
I can't think of a better I honestly can't think of like a better R&B album. Like it's
Yeah.
maybe like top 3 of all time. Like truly incredible.
Now you got me thinking because I love Voodoo a lot. I'm trying to think of my other favorite R&B albums. Definitely Confessions. Oh, and Cheers to You by Playa. Those
Confessions.
are like my two.
Ooh,
Yeah,
good
that's
choice. Wow.
that's honestly probably. I mean, it differs sometimes, but that's definitely like one of my favorite albums by far. Like it has no skips to me. It's so good. Obviously, Static's amazing. I
Yeah.
love that album so much. That is exceptional. Now I'm gonna go listen to that tonight too. I'm coming with a list of stuff I have to do after after
Hell
this.
yeah.
Yes, I love that.
I feel the same way about Brandy's Never Say Never. That was that was
Yes.
a really big album for me. Like
Yes.
Angel in Disguise is like
Fire.
I a rapper I really love named Mike.
Mhm.
He sampled part of the intro to Angel in Disguise, and I had to be like, wow, like it was literally just a little bit where she says like my love is never misplaced, and then the little vocals
Yeah.
come in, like it's like buried in the mix. Like so like I heard it and I was like, wait a minute, like is that what I think it is? And I freaked out because I was like, damn, I don't know if I've ever heard anybody sample this song before, and that's like my
Sample.
favorite Brandy song. I love that song. Like,
Ooh, and you know I love a good sample, so please send me that because now I want to hear that.
yeah, nah, that album Disco, Mike's album Disco is one of my favorites of the year so far. And that song, I think it's
Ooh.
called At Thirst Sight. Crazy song.
Yo. Yeah, now I need to hear it. I need parts.
Nah, I got you. So like since we're already talking about music, like growing up in Jersey, like
Uh-huh.
when did you first start to fall in love with music? Like when did it become more than just like a thing in the background for you?
I feel like it's literally from the womb. So, and like, it's weird. Like, I don't really have any well, let me not say I don't, but so many of my childhood memories are related to music. So, my mom is from Maryland, and I was actually born in Maryland. I wasn't there for long. My dad is from Philly, who's also raised in Jersey. So, I was in Jersey, obviously, a lot, like from a baby. And then
Hmm.
once we like all like relocated there, I was there since I was like 2. So, just having a parent who is heavy into obviously all the music that's coming out of Maryland and like go-go and stuff like that, and then having a dad who is from Philly and having all the family from that side, and just knowing the rapping and the Philadelphia soul and the stuff that comes out of there, I really cannot remember just not listening to music. Like literally since being a kid in Jersey, from like our cookout to like being a baby, and remembering being back in the back of like my dad's like Honda and like rapping like imaginary players. Like that's one of my earliest memories with my dad. And I was
Wow.
a baby. Like that album came out and I was literally a baby, and I remember him like turning around like smiling at me because I would be rapping along, and we riding around Jersey. I'm like 2, 3, 4, however many years old I was, like rapping that. Like, yeah. So yeah, I don't really have any memories with like that at least in some way aren't connected to music in some way.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really incredible. Like,
My family loves music. They love music a lot. And they love Black history, and a lot of Black history can be connected to music. So we're
oh,
like,
always.
yeah.
Nah, facts. Like my parents tell me this story about the fact that I used to be able to rap the whole verse to I Got the Power.
Ooh.
Like when I was like really real, like I don't remember this. Like
Wow.
they told me that they just told me I did it a couple of times, and like I just had to take their word for it because I don't remember.
Yeah.
So like that really like this must have been like just when I started talking, because I didn't start talking until I was like 4 or 5 years old.
Oh my
So like
gosh. Wow.
so like I don't remember that specific part, but like just
Wow.
but like I relate to that,
Yeah.
that like music has been, like my father was in a doo-wop group and he roller skated.
Oh
So like
wow.
music has always been a part of my life. And like my mom is also really big on music too. She wasn't like in the industry or anything, but she just,
Yeah.
she loves music. So like I
Yeah.
get it. I get having that like
Yeah.
that like
Just like,
yeah.
yeah, like it's just there. I love that. Your dad was in a doo-wop group? What?
Yeah, they were called Connie and the Decoys.
I will be looking them up later too. I got a whole list going right here. Movies to watch, songs to listen to, people
Oh,
to look up.
hell yeah, man! I love this already. This is we're like already like I don't even know how far
Yeah.
in we are, but like this is just a vibe so far.
Yeah.
So 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 like as you're growing up with music and you're growing up with movies and like you're starting to develop a palette, I guess, like when, like, was there ever a period of time where you first consciously linked film and music together in your head, where they like started to inform each other?
Ooh, I want to say, well, I definitely feel like, and this does not connect to any of like the movies or songs that we just mentioned, but the Simmons family is a very big Godfather family. We love
Ooh.
we love those movies a lot. That's another yeah, definitely feel like I've watched one and two. I can't even count how many times. Every time it's on, like we watch it when I'm home, like when we're home, or it's kind of crazy actually. But I remember thinking about the scene. I think this is when Michael is getting ready to kind of go at the cop that was hired to, like, kind of get in the way of making sure his
Right,
dad
right,
was.
right. Yeah.
And the music that plays while that is happening, and also seeing the switch from him being this very like cool, calm, collected, like military guy to like turning into this mobster, and the music kind of like just transitioning, and then there's like a weird like grunty sound that happens during that scene while there's also like some like strings or whatever's going on in the background. I feel like that is the first time I consciously was like, oh wow, like this makes this scene so much better. Like if this music
Wow.
wasn't here, it would still be fire. I think Godfather like is truly the best, like best movie ever made. So good. But I do feel like that was the first time where I literally was like, yo, like the music really makes this scene so powerful. It makes you really realize like this is what's happening. And at the end, when he orders all of those hits, and he's really like, yo, like I'm a boss now. Like ain't no more like military or like respecting none of this stuff. Like I'm here, like this is what I do, like I am taking over. The music that plays at that part while they're like literally ordering these hits and executing these hits that he's ordered, while he's also at his, I think it's his niece or nephew, it's Connie's kids, at the
Yeah.
baptism. I'm like, yo, like this is, yeah, those are two things that come to my mind when I really think of like, yo, like the music that like is used in movies when people are scoring things and like putting stuff together, like that can really take a scene from like, oh, like this is just a part of the story, to wow, like pay attention to the transition and what's happening with this character and as a part of the storyline.
So I really love that answer. That might be the most specific answer I've ever gotten to that question. Like you really like pinned it down to like the scene, and like that's always what I'm looking for, and like you fucking nailed
Yes.
it. Like that's
Thank
so
you.
good.
Really, I watched that movie so many times, yo. Like it's really kind of crazy. It's wild. It's very wild.
And you know what's funny? I've never seen either Godfather 1 or 2 all the way through. Or no, sorry. Let me take that back. I've seen them I've seen the whole movie, but only in pieces. I've never watched either of them in one sitting.
What are you
And
doing?
and
You
it's
gotta watch.
I've been meaning to, because I love those movies. I've seen them both all the way through, just never in one sitting. It's just never worked out that way. I don't know why it never has. The only other movie that's ever happened to me with is White Chicks. I've never seen White Chicks
Okay.
from front to back. I've seen the whole thing in pieces, but I've
Yeah.
never seen it from front to back. Like I saw it. I remember when it came out in theaters, right?
Uh-huh.
White Chicks, because we weren't alive when The Godfather came out. But like, so me and one of my best friends, my homeboy Solomon, shout out to Solomon. We were with my father. We were watching White Chicks in the
Uh-huh.
theater. We were like kids, you know,
Yeah.
and we made it to the point, like we made it to that all is lost moment where the two of them break up and they stop doing the cop thing, and like they're mad at each other. And then my dad was like, "Oh, yo, like your grandmother's sick. We got to go see her right now." And I was like, "What?" Like
Oh, you
so
have to leave?
so we had to
Oh,
leave. Like
oh.
everything turned out to be fine, but like
Okay, good. I was like, wait, oh
since then, I have never seen that movie all the way through in one sitting. I've seen like 80% of it, but
no.
I've never like watched it from beginning to end without having to leave, or like catching it in the middle of like it's the same thing with the Godfather movies. Like I've never owned them, So I like don't. I'm gonna get them because I love them, but I've just like never owned them on physical media. And
Yo, the way we own them, like I feel like we have like the VHS, the DVD, the Blu-ray. It's recorded on our like whatever we have. What is
wow.
Xfinity? So it's recorded on there, so I can watch whenever I want. Also have it on streaming. Like I, that's why I was able to give you a specific answer because like nah, like and everyone in our family loves The Godfather. Like yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, like no, like Godfather 2 is, in my opinion, like A, probably the best sequel to a movie ever made, and
Yeah.
B, just like it really just it doesn't even like it's so hard to describe, but like the Godfather 2 doesn't like there isn't much like risk involved in it, but it just takes everything that worked about the first movie and just like builds on it. You know,
Builds
like
on it.
it's just like it's not like this radically different thing that like completely redefines the way you look at the first one. It's just another really great story told
So
incredibly
good.
well, and it might
So
even
good.
be more violent, like low key, like maybe just a little
Yeah.
bit.
Definitely, those movies definitely are very, very violent. And even the backstory in two to like the father and learning about like Vito and like him coming over to America and kind of just becoming who he became is just amazing cinema. I love shout out Robert De Niro, Al Pacino. Those are like two of my goats. They're great, great actors.
Yeah,
Amazing.
man. Yeah, yeah, and then on top of that, did Francis Ford Coppola direct the second one too?
I think so.
Okay.
I think so. Yeah.
Well, either way, he went crazy with the first one, and like
Yeah.
my favorite bit from either of those movies is learning about Corleone's like relationship with My favorite bit is the oranges bit where like he like cuts up the oranges and puts it
Oh,
in his mouth. That's
yeah.
I love that whole scene and
Yeah.
how they
Yeah.
call back to it throughout. Like I just love the whole
Yeah.
like I love the
Woo!
I love the dynamic between father and son that's kind of like it's established there and then it comes up a whole bunch and like I just love that repeating motif. Like I'm big on that type of shit.
Love it.
Like
Love it. See, that's what I'm saying. Like, those are the best movies ever made, yo. Like, one and two, they go crazy. Really
mm-hmm.
did not have to be that good. Did not have to be that good.
Nah, not at all. Because yeah, like it's so crazy because like the book was just like one of those books that people like read when you like you buy it at an airport and like read it on a plane. And then they were like, and then Francis Ford Coppola was like, I want to turn that into a movie. And
He's
like
such a goat. He's such a goat. Oh my God. You're getting me so excited because I love The Godfather so much. Like, I feel like people just they don't understand. Like, that man is a goat. Oh, not that fly flying by me. Like, what?
before we move on, because we're talking about The Godfather, I gotta ask you how you felt when you first saw the cover for Gibbs and Alchemist Alfredo with the Mario Puzo inspired
Oh, I was
cover. Like that shit was
like,
beautiful.
first of
Like
all, Gibbs has fire references. Like
yeah, he does.
I love me a good reference. I forget the other album where he was nodding to Teddy Pendergrass, who's like one of my favorite
That's the
singers.
Freddie album. That's the
Yeah, yeah.
self-titled.
Yeah, like he's so great. Yeah, I saw that and was super hyped. And then I went to buy a shirt and had to do something and came back and they were sold out. So I was very,
Damn.
very sick. You just reminded me that I should probably go check again and see what is up. Yeah, that was so cool. I love myself a good reference that like brings it into the present, not just like a nod. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like it was a nice homage, and like it wasn't even like it was a different kind of pasta, and of course you got the black hand coming down, and like
Yeah.
it's just like I don't know who the artist was, but like they were just like
They
man,
snapped.
just such an iconic image. Like
Shout out to them. They snapped.
man, and yeah, Alfredo still goes crazy to this day too. Like I'm really hoping I can see Gibbs and Alchemist when they do it at
Yeah.
Gudball, because like ugh.
Alchemist is Alchemist is so good.
Like he's he's had like I can't even like put into words how incredible he's been the last 3 years. Like just like between the collab albums and all the beat tapes, like he
Yo,
just doesn't stop. Like
I aspire to just be like that good at whatever I'm good at for that long. Cause like, yeah, I can't. Like, he's so good.
He's incredible, and and now him and Vince are joking about the fact that they might have an EP together, and like
What? Oh, that would be fire.
like Alex, because Vince did an interview with Ebro where he said that like he and Alchemist and Earl Sweatshirt were working on a project together, and that like it didn't come together because Vince and Earl were too high, and Vince was just like rapping, and then he
Yo,
went off and made the self-titled, and then
what?
and then Alchemist went on Twitter and was like, "Nah, that's cap. Like Vince and I have a whole 6-track EP that's been mixed. It's been done for 3 months."
Wow.
Like, so I don't know if they're joking. Like the thing about Alchemist and Vince Staples, like I can never
Yeah,
tell when they're joking or not. Like they're always
I feel
so
that. I
like
feel that. You don't know what is going on. Well, dang, I like wanted to come out.
me
What?
too. Like
Yeah. Now I'm like, what is going on?
yeah,
Dang. Yeah, we need
man.
that. Streets
Yeah,
need that.
for real. Yeah, because I've been running the Vince Staples album for like the last like I can't put it down.
Yeah.
The Vince
I
Staples album
only
is really on it for me.
I only heard like the first few tracks. I also got interrupted. I forget what I was doing, but I liked what I heard, and I love Vince. He's OD. He's another. He's
Yeah,
very like.
he's
Why are you this good?
nah, Vince is one of the best. He's definitely one of the best we have, and I appreciate just how like
Yes,
I appreciate how honest he is about
I
everything. You
agree.
know, like he's just himself. Like like not even on some rapper shit. He's just himself, and
Yep,
I love to see that shit.
love that.
Um, so like as you grew up
Mhm.
and started to like your palette starting to get even more refined, especially as you go off to Rutgers and you go to college and you work an intern for a whole bunch of different places, including the
Yeah.
Source, which I also did.
Oh,
So shout out
hey.
to Source alum. So like working your way through like entertainment and rap journalism specifically,
Yeah.
like what inspired you to really go out on your own and create something like the Gumbo? Because like I
Yeah.
love like you already know I love all the work you've been doing over there, and just
Thank
like
you.
you giving Black women and femmes and queer folks a place to kind of like
Thank
get
you.
off about rap is like that's so priceless. So like where did that idea come from?
So basically, just thinking about the idea for the gumbo and having, so many friends and Black women who wanted to write and be a part of the culture that we are, the creators of, and we are authorities on, and we help build and help create. And just hearing stories of like, oh, like I'm doing this here, but I'm like not getting paid, or I can't even get my foot in the door because I don't have enough clips, because I'm not even getting, the opportunity to go right anywhere. Even stuff that like comes to my mind when I'm thinking about like, all right, like I would tweet an opinion like, oh, like I love this song, and like a dude like coming to my mentions being like, well, name 10 of his other songs and why you like this. It's like just like so much stuff. I'm like, all right, like I just want to create a space, a safe space for us to talk about hip hop, or to create, or to write, and have it be a place where, yeah, we can all commune together and feel comfortable doing that. And also have it be a place where if people do want to create or they do want to write, that they can get compensated for it. So I saved up my money for like a year. I was taking my late show checks, putting them in my savings for the gumbo. And also, one night it just came to me while I was asleep. Like I've been thinking for a long time, like, all right, like what is a word that like best describes like when a whole bunch of good things like come together and like make something great. And gumbo came to my mind. I had never been to New Orleans at that point either. Like I just like, that's the perfect thing. Like I know like you put so many ingredients in gumbo and make something that people go crazy over. So I feel like if I, use this word and, really exemplify the Black women and people who are in this industry that don't just write and don't just produce and don't just create music and don't just design clothes, but take all of them and bring them together into this space, it
Right.
would be the perfect space. So yeah.
Right. What year did you formally found it? Because I feel like it's been like at least like 3 or 4 years,
Yes,
right?
it's definitely been 3 years, 2018, I want to say.
That's what I thought, but I wasn't
Yeah.
100% sure.
Yeah. It was definitely, you know what, let me triple check because I remember it was the weekend after Late Show went to the Emmys one year. And I was like, all right,
Mm.
as soon as we're done, like I gotta get back and like get this joint out here. So let me just triple check, but I'm pretty sure it was this year. It's really crazy, but I also love it. I love that Apple like keeps your stuff like in sync. Like
Yeah, it's like it's terrifying, but it's also like
I love
hella
it though.
practical. Yeah, me
I
too, me
need
too.
it. I need it. I need it. Yes, it was definitely 2018. I'm telling you, COVID has messed up the way that like I think. Like I be
Mm,
forgetting like years, times, like it.
yeah.
Yeah, it's
Like no, like COVID was a whole gap year. Like that year might as well have not. Well, I don't want to say it might as well have not happened, but like
yeah.
I don't remember a lot of that year, and that's
I
kind of
don't.
scary to me.
I don't. I do not remember a lot. No, yeah. I
Mm.
honestly can say yeah, definitely a lot of gaps. That's why I was like, was it 3 years? But yeah, it was 2018, September of 2018. Yep.
That shit is freaky, but yeah, and like everything you just mentioned is like those aspects are what I love so much about what you do. Like y'all have articles, and you have the like the series of the live events that you do, and you have like y'all put out merch, and you have and like you have Black women designing the merch, and it's just
Yeah,
like like it's a whole like it's not just a publication, it's like a whole operation that you're putting forward yourself, and like
absolutely.
you built it. Like that's
Yeah,
dope. I love
yeah.
that.
Yeah, and shout out to our lead creative director and DJ Quinn, and also our deputy editor Brooklyn White Greer, two amazing Black women who
Man,
have just helped so much, and the Gumbo would not be what it is without them. So I just want to shout them out because they are truly exceptional women.
absolutely love to them, and love to Brooklyn especially, who I
Yeah,
haven't met yet. But yeah, like
she's the
Brooklyn's
best.
the best.
She's the best.
Like
She's the best.
man, and yeah, like between the two of you, like you and Brooklyn especially, like but like I want to focus on you. Like your curation skills are like that's kind of like that's the thing that I always notice about Nadirah, is that like your curation skills are like just like between like the vintage photos you find, and like the digging
Thank
for the old
you.
records, and
Thank
everything you do with
you.
Sample Sunday,
Thank
and
you.
just like all like the behind the scenes histories of like certain movies and music, and like just like all the archival work that you do of like your area of Jersey, like
Thank
you
you.
nah, like of course, like you're putting, you were talking about this earlier, just about like this history, and how and like how like Black culture is tied to history, and just how like how much Black culture runs through this country, and
Yeah,
like you're really doing your due diligence to like put it in a place where people can find it and consume it
yeah.
in really dope ways. And like like I just saw you tweeting about the PJs a few days ago. Like like and like it all varies. And I guess I was just wondering, because of all that, like hand-to-hand curation
Mhm.
is something that only a handful of people are really doing, like especially like, so like for you personally, um what place do you feel hand-to-hand curation, like the stuff that you do, has in a world that's controlled by algorithms? Because like
Yeah.
that's a really interesting contrast to me.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I definitely feel like one, being from Jersey, being raised in a place that I always feel like gets left out of lots of narratives because we are bordered by Philly and we're bordered by New York City. And then
Yeah.
it's not like I'd rather just go to DC. I'd rather drive through people say so many different things about our state. So I've always kind of felt like an underdog just in the world in general, just because of where I'm from and being from this small town in South Jersey where people are always like, are you by the beach? I'm like, no. And always wanting to like show people the history of different places, and also being the granddaughter of an educator and a principal who literally like lived in uh, a Levitt town. And if people don't know the history of Levitt towns, they were built
Right.
by, oh my God, what is his first name? Last name Levitt, but for veterans of the war, and they excluded Black people. And he moved there obviously after all of the rules about segregation, everything had ended, but just also knowing how much he loved history and how much he taught me about that stuff. So I always valued it, and he saved every single thing. Like I even have a box next to me of stuff he gave me before he passed away that has like old passports of family members, like old photos of, like old photos of like my grandmother who passed away when I was really, really young. So he always inspired me to kind of just save things. Even sometimes to the point where my mom would be like, Nadirah, like, we're not keeping all this in the house. Like, you got to like get rid of some stuff. Like, you're keeping too much. And then transitioning into the digital age, especially at Rutgers, where I learned a lot about like just archiving and like the stuff that was saved, learning that like Henry Rutgers was like a slave owner and that they're creating this project to like archive all of this history because Sojourner Truth lived on the camp. Like so many different things that
see?
like made me feel like, okay, what can I do to contribute to this vast world and all of this history, and also make it so that it's accessible? Because obviously we know everybody is not online all the time, but everyone also doesn't have access to libraries to be able to go somewhere. So trying to just find that balance and really feeling like, okay, I'm going to treat really my social media like a personal, like I've said this before and I've tweeted before, but I really treat my Instagram and my Twitter like an archive. So when I'm no longer here, I want my kids to be able to go on the Gumbos page, or grandkids, or even their friends or their homies, and be able to learn. I want people to go on my personal Instagram and be able to learn and understand what life was like at this time, or to be able to go on my New Jersey history page and learn about not just my hometown in Jersey, but all of the history that is there. So for me, it's so important. It's so important. Even I was home a few weeks ago and like randomly typed in like my town and like Black history and found out so much history. Me and my little sisters, we like walked down the street and just took a tour. We were like, yo, like there's so much history here, from there being like a cemetery that has like the bodies of like former Union soldiers that's 5 minutes from our house. Like we didn't even know that. Or there being this island that apparently is one of the earliest, has the earliest records of Black people in Jersey. And that was 5 minutes from our crib. Like just so much stuff that like I want people to know this stuff. And I also know that a lot of times you don't know. And there might be that one person in the world that's like, I'm going to look up the history of this. And you find them online. You're like, all right, like, how can I add to this? And like, just create more so that no one ever goes through the world without the opportunity to learn about just history. So yeah, I love it. I love documenting stuff, saving stuff. Yeah.
Right. And yeah, like as Black people, that's especially important because so much of our history is buried. And like even if it isn't buried, it's just like it's made really hard to find, or it's just been like wiped,
Right.
like
Yeah.
like you always hear people talking about like ancestry.com and 23andMe, and like those
Yeah.
things work and they're cool, but like my father also recently started like digging through our family history, and he just like sends
Mhm.
me and my sister stuff all the time of just like
Yeah.
you're related to this person, they came from here,
Yeah.
and like he has pictures
Yeah.
of like his father who died before I was born, so I never got to meet him. Like he's like young pictures of my grandmother and his father, and just like you know like that archival spirit is just so important,
Yeah. Yeah.
just as like a grounding mechanism, like
It's so important. It's so important. Even when I like had that trip home a few weeks ago, we found out like one of the pharmacies was like reportedly a stop on the Underground Railroad. Like what?
wow.
Like what is this? Or even like, yeah, like back to the point of the town next to us being a former Levitt town. And like even like when, like I said, my dad and my granddad and all of their family lived in that house, that wasn't what was happening at the time. This was like late 70s, 80s when they were there. But even finding out the history of that town after the fact, and like going to my dad and being like, yo, like, did you know that your town was like a former Levitt town? He's like, yeah, I knew that. I'm like, that's so crazy. So I'm also always so fascinated by it. So like I love learning about it.
Yeah, nah, that stuff, that like all that stuff is so interesting, and it really, and like it's the kind of thing that can change your relationship to the place you're staying. Like you're talking about places that are 5 minutes away from you that you didn't even know, and that's like I'm sure that like recontextualizes
Yeah.
like that's like that changes the dynamic of the place you live in, like
Yeah.
it's like that's like those moments and those that information is like it's priceless,
Yeah.
like it's
Absolutely.
like just like
Absolutely.
never forgetting where you came from, and just like and like knowing where yeah, it's just really good.
Here, yo, literally, that's literally it. That is it.
And like on top of all the work you do over at the Gumbo, and just like your own general just like archival interests and stuff like that. You've mentioned it a bunch of times. You also work for the Late Show with Steve Colbert. You're the
Yeah.
social media manager over there, and you've been going in the last couple of years. So like walk me through your history with the Late Show, and like how you
Yeah.
got involved, and
Mhm.
just like how, and well, actually, yeah. Let's start there. Walk me through how you first got involved with that.
Yeah. Well, I was a part of an apprentice program for a year. I was there almost immediately after I graduated from Rutgers, and really just, learned so much about that show. Got to rotate through different departments, which was so cool to just be able to learn from these people who are really like legends like in the TV industry and so talented. And I ended up being in the digital department, stuck around, and moved from PA now all the way up to social media manager. So I not only get to obviously manage the channels, but I produce stuff with so many different people that I like look up to, like people from like Issa Rae to like even getting to produce something with Robert De Niro, which is like,
Right.
what is this? Or like Method Man, like so many things like that. Have just been honestly like sometimes I think I tweeted the other night, I'm like, yo, like I was literally like working on something, like producing something, and like Eddie Murphy did it, and I had to produce him. Like I don't even think I've really ever even processed that. Like that's like wild. like what is going on?
Yeah, and then like walk me through that process of like producing these bits, because like I've seen so many that you've done, and
Yeah.
like and like the ones that stick out to me are usually like like the Issa Rae one, the Method Man one, the Eddie Murphy one the Eddie Murphy and Robert De Niro ones, like you said, must have been a dream.
Yeah.
And my favorite one is probably just like seeing you interacting with Samuel L. Jackson, and like all the stuff that y'all did. Like it's just like
Yeah.
just like knowing that you're like behind, like so like talk to me about producing these, and like what goes into that, and like what's the
Yeah.
process.
Yeah. So I don't always produce everything because there's a whole bunch of people on the team, but if I
Right.
am producing something, specifically the thing that we did with Eddie Murphy and Robert De Niro, which was a holiday robe that they decorated. So it literally was just me like producing them and saying, hey, like pick out these items, decorate the robe, say this on camera, say whatever else you want. Just like simple stuff like that, all the way up to, all right, if we're gonna do mood mix, which is a bit that I produce where I have to like script out and come up with, all right, like what prompts are we going to give this guest? There's also a producer on our team who handles like all the editing and sets everything up. So it's definitely a lot that goes into it. And I really remember being very kind of intimidated at first because I'm like, dang, like I'm going to go into a room with just like this person and everyone's going to just trust me to like do this. But it's kind of been like smooth to, yeah, really just grow from being a PA to manager and getting to also produce along the way. So definitely a lot of work. Sometimes I do get like a little like just like, oh God, like this really happening? Like I'm really about to do this, and then I'm cool, like I'm good. But yeah, it's been crazy.
What's been your favorite bit that you've produced so far? I think I could guess already, but like which one's been your
Yeah,
favorite?
definitely mood mix has been my favorite. I will also say too, the holiday robe and sweater that we've done where we brought in a bunch of different people to kind of decorate this robe, and then we auctioned it off for charity. And I think for the past 2 years we sent the money to, I can't even remember the name of the organization. I'm so mad. Hold on, let me look it up because I want to make sure I get it right. But basically the money was raised to help people with their bail. So just also knowing
Mm-hmm.
that like I'm around so many people, Good Call NYC. So it's a free arrest support hotline in New York City. So it helps people with their first call if they get arrested. So even having like, yeah, Robert De Niro, Eddie Murphy, and Jennifer Aniston, all these other people, The Weeknd, he also did the robe that year, and I worked on that. Like they're gonna design this robe, Queen Latifah, all of them are decorating this. I'm helping produce this, and then we're auctioning it off for such a good cause. That's definitely been kind of one of the most rewarding things for me, is to be a part of something that is cool. I get to work with like really cool people, and then we also get to give back in a way. And obviously I love music, so like Mood Mix has been one of my favorite things that I've done. It's just getting to sit down in a room and like producing like Method Man, and then like him saying a song and me being like, oh, like that song is fire. Like he's like, how do you know that? Like just interactions that I'm just like, how are, like, what is happening? Like crazy, crazy, crazy stuff. But those are definitely the two things that are top of mind for me. And even Issa, which like I think I shot that on an iPhone. I think I was still a PA or maybe even an AP at that point. But just like going into her green room, being obsessed with Insecure and everything that she's done, just as a fan of TV and also someone who works in TV and wants to do the things that she does, and getting to like produce her and ask her about like all of the firsts that have happened in her life, like just very, very, very crazy things. But everything I've done there, I've been really, really happy and proud of, but those are the things that stick out for sure.
Yo, that's so good. And you know, like considering that you run the gumbo and you like kind of are like building this, like you were saying about like wanting to kind of do the things that Issa's doing, like, you know, like
Yeah.
you're working for one of the most popular late night shows on television, but
Yeah.
you're also like building your own brand on the side. And like, and yeah, just because I'm curious, since we've been talking about it, like how is your work over at Late Show kind of fed into your work at the gumbo and vice versa?
Yeah.
Like I'm sure the
Definitely.
inspiration's been pretty wild.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, working with people who are so good at what they do, people who have worked with Steven for a really long time, or have worked in TV for a really long time, and show you how to make a call sheet, or show you how to like make sure the resolution of a camera is what it's supposed to be, or how to set up a camera, also how to plan something out, and how to get different items for a production, and to also how to lead meetings, just something I've definitely even learned more and more in the past few years, and kind of like, just planning everything out. I think the biggest thing I've learned from them is, yeah, being really, really like on top of your planning, and also communicating. Because communication is key, I feel like, in any industry, but especially in TV, and especially in media. You have to be able to communicate to get stuff done. And then also, just because everyone there is so great, knowing the importance of teamwork. Because I also feel like there were times, even with the gumbo in the beginning, where I was very afraid to ask for help. Whether it was imposter syndrome, or me not feeling like, I could like ask anyone for help, whether it was like, hey, like I need like help with the design, or hey, I might need someone to like do this for me. Like just so many different things, that just being at the Late Show and seeing people be so great at communication, so talented when they're producing something, and also valuing like the importance of a team and teamwork. And that's something that we always hear every single day, just how much they value us as a team, which is why I love them so much, and they've helped me so much. That those are really the biggest things, that teamwork, that communication. Yeah, like playing your stuff out. Like don't wait till the last minute to try to do something, because they wouldn't wait till the last minute to try to get something done. And even if something, if a shoot did pop up at the last minute, because they're always ahead of the game, or they previously planned, you can knock something out like that. So definitely those things. Yeah.
Right. And like as like you've been developing these skills and
Mm-hmm.
you eventually move from Jersey to New York, like how like since you've made that transition to being in the city, as opposed to like being there for like a work day and
Yeah.
then like going to a show maybe and then going home.
Yeah.
Like how is the dynamic between your job and your life changed since now you're like there and you don't have to go back to Jersey anymore?
Yeah,
Like
I definitely, well, I'm not as tired for sure. I used to be exhausted, and I think I did my apprenticeship for a year, and then when I was offered a permanent job after, that's when I was really like, okay, like I have to move. So it kind of felt okay during the apprenticeship, but then once I got the position, I was like, yo, you can't, like, you should just live here. Like you got like a full-time job. You have all the things that you wanted to. So I just definitely think like my relationship with rest has definitely changed, because when I was in Jersey, yeah, I was getting up every morning, driving to the train station, getting on the train for 2 hours, getting off the train, getting on the subway to go all the way to the theater, And I would be there early because I would have to get on, I think like the six something or the 7:30. So I was always there super early, and then, not really knowing, which is TV. So you don't know what time something is going to wrap or who's going to go for a long time in an interview. So one day I could be headed to the train at 7:30. Next day I could be headed to the train at 8:15, 8:30. So not getting home, usually every night I was getting home at like 11:30. So after I came home, ate, showered, did everything I needed to, it'd be like 1 a.m. I have to wake up again at 6. So it was just so, my relationship with rest and being able to rest has helped me. Obviously I did a great job. I was able to stay there and get a position, but now like really being able to kind of have that balance and not always be worried about, oh, I got to make a train or I have to get here or go there. So, and also feel like a real, like a legit, like, oh, I'm in New York, which is, I feel like something I aspired to, just being, like being in this city and living in Brooklyn, and like going to my TV job was something that was on my list of like dreams that I had ever since I was a little kid in Jersey. So definitely it's a good feeling.
That's the best. Cause yeah, like, cause like, even cause like like I relate to that like more than I could even say. Cause like last night, I think I was saying this off camera. I went to go see Flying Lotus in Brooklyn, and
Yeah.
I'm in North Jersey. So like for me, that's like that's a whole process, like
Yeah.
thankfully I live about a 30-second drive from a train station, like a 30-second drive to like a 5-10 minute walk.
Good.
So I went to the train station. I got to Penn.
Yep.
I took the Q train
Mhm.
from Herald Square to 14th Street to transfer over to the L. Took the L to Jefferson,
That's what
and
I'm
then
saying.
walked
Like,
about 15 minutes there. And I
yeah.
got there like maybe around like just after 10, right? Flylo didn't go on until almost 11:30. And the whole time last night I'm checking my phone because
Yeah.
I'm like, yo, I got to make sure that I'm back at the Jefferson Street station to catch this 12:38 train to get me back to 14th Street, 8th Avenue at 1 a.m. so I can
Yeah.
catch the A train at 1:07. It's like that whole
It's a
process.
lot. It's a lot. And it really, like,
Yeah.
I didn't realize it until after I moved, aside from just like obviously being sleepy, it like messes with your mind. Like, that's not good to only be like commuting and working. So now I have like a great like work-life balance where, yeah, if I do get off at a certain time, I can still go hang out with people and not be thinking about like, oh, the next train, or like just like commuting and working was all it was for a while. And
Right.
thankfully the work was so fulfilling that like the commute didn't kill me. But after a while, I'm just like, yo, like I don't want this to be half of my life is commuting and the other half is work. Like I needed to have the balance. So had to move. Had to
Right.
I love Jersey. I love my hometown. I love being by all my farms and my farmers markets. Love it. Love my mall. But yeah, I had to leave.
Right. Yeah, no, I get it. Cause yeah, cause like if even one of those trains or one of those public transit things messes up, it fucks your entire shit up. Like I was almost stranded at Secaucus this morning because the train from Penn to
Oh,
Secaucus, it left 10 minutes after it was supposed to for no reason. And I was like, damn, I'm gonna have to pay like $40 to take a cab home.
yeah.
But luckily they held the train and I made it
Yeah.
back and everything was fine. But like, it's like that relationship is like considering how close our areas of Jersey are to New York, like that, like there's always been that like interesting push and pull, like with people
Yeah.
coming and going from both. And like I worked in the city for a little while too. I haven't worked in the city since I think 2019. But
Mm-hmm.
like but like I get that struggle of like of like my commute wasn't really like that stressful. Like I would
Yeah.
also commute to Long Island, which was like even more crazy
Oh,
because like
that's
that's
crazy.
because that's like an hour and a half both ways. It's
That's crazy.
really it's really brutal. But like like that's the thing, because like I would go to work and then sometimes I would go to like a show or like go catch a movie or go hang out with people, and it never got to the point where I was like, oh, I need to like catch this train or I'm gonna be stranded forever. But it like that clock is
I was
always
it's in the
ticking in the
back of
back of
your
your
mind,
head.
right? That's
It's
the thing.
yeah,
Yeah, that's
like
what killed me. It was always in the back of my head, like, yo, you gotta like just make sure you gotta get to where you need to. So, and I'm not in North Jersey. Like I am in South Jersey. We are
exactly.
20 minutes from Philly. So like we are down. Like we are past Trenton. Like
Yep.
had to get home.
Right. Yeah. 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 Like that's very different. Like for me, like I'm literally like I'm 20 minutes outside of New York City. Like it's like it's hard, but it's not as hard as, like y'all are you're like in South Jersey, like that's like yeah, like other people I've talked to from around your area have also like it's a lot, like and anyone who manages to make it to the point where it's just like I'm gonna just move here, like that's really something to be proud of because like like you just like look back and no, of course, and like for all the stress that causes, like I noticed that I'm really good at like fragmented scheduling in that way,
Yes.
right? Like that makes you really good at time management. Like like when the trains are running, like where you need it's just
It's
like my time management skills have gone through the roof doing all this stuff. So that's cool.
yeah.
But like getting home at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning and like friends being like, yo, text me when you get home. And I'm like, I do. And like 3 a.m. they're like, nigga, what? Like you're just home, you're just getting home now? I'm like, yeah, sorry. Like
Yo, that is so funny. Yeah, I definitely used to send them late texts and they're like, oh my God, so late. I'm like, yeah.
Right. And like considering all of this, like we've been talking about how like New York and Jersey have a really interesting relationship when it comes to like obviously the distance, but of course like when it comes to like the culture that we share and the
Yeah,
influence and just like the levels of access to each other, right? Because like there's like we swap so many different things here that like sometimes it's even hard to tell where certain things like whether it started in Jersey or if it started in New York, like
yeah,
so um and like being New York adjacent has made so many people from Jersey's dreams come true. Like whether you're in north or south, like having that pipeline to New York is
hmm,
really like make or break for so many people. I know it certainly was for me, and I know it was for you.
yeah, definitely.
And I know recently you've mentioned that since moving out there, you want to do something to like
Yeah,
make it easier for people from Jersey who might not have access, who might be from your area,
yeah,
where it's harder to get to New York, like to kind of like make that pipeline a little shorter, which
yeah.
I think is really which I think is like super commendable. So like for you,
Thanks.
like not to put you on the spot, but like seeing that, it made me really
Yeah.
curious, like just like how do you plan to go about that? Like what's a feasible option for
Well,
people from Jersey who want to really put their foot in the water like that?
definitely for me, I mean, I always think of having spaces. I mean, obviously the gumbo is a space. I even like just everywhere that I've worked or been a part of, that's a space, whether or not someone's promoting it as that or describing it as that. So I would love for there to be a space, for lack of a better term, by my hometown or just in South Jersey in general, where people can go and work together. And also knowing that like for TV opportunities. I love TV. I work in TV and I want to continue to grow in this industry and hopefully one day produce and write my own things as well. And I don't want not even I don't want, but I think about so many people I know who are talented and have great stories to tell who can't get on the train to go to New York because they have other things that they have to do or aren't paying for that. I mean, I have people who have told me like, yo, like I used to like run around the NJ Transit train to not have someone check me for a ticket because I didn't have one, like or like hide
Mm-hmm.
out in seats. Like that's something I know people have done. So I just want there to be, I know it's going to be a lot of money, but I want to be able to build a space where people can come in and co-work and collaborate and also have a studio if someone wants to film something or if someone wants to record a podcast. Like I want there to be kind of that really big space, and that does not to say that so many don't already exist, because there are a lot there. I just want to be able to
Right.
contribute to more of that creativity, especially for people like me who work in TV. Want to make it so you don't always have to travel all the way to New York, or go over the Betsy Ross Bridge and go into Philly, or find, have to search for all these different studios. So I just want to be able to contribute to something I already know is there, but also to just help.
Yeah, that's the best, like being in a position to help people is like, that's such a privilege to be able to help someone,
Yeah.
like especially in an industry like this. And like
Yeah.
it only really works if people are willing to pay it forward in
Pay it
that
forward.
way.
Yep.
And like, you know, like,
Yeah.
shout out to you for even wanting to do that. you
Thank
know
you. Now I don't know how long it's gonna take because we need some money for that. But when it happens,
right.
y'all will know it will happen.
well, we're like, I can't end this without talking to you about currency,
Oh
because
my God, that's my
yo,
guy. Yes.
like, so talk to me. So like, when did you first discover Spitta, and when did we just like,
Okay.
yeah,
I feel like
like,
I'm gonna say my answer, and I know my dad is gonna listen to this, and then he's gonna say he put me on. Either way, it was definitely on some DD172, I think was the name of the platform, like just being on the site. It might have been my dad. He might be right. Maybe I should just let him have that. I think he might have put me on when I was like a teenager, because he just loves music, and he found him on that site. So yeah, I was hit. Him and I used to listen to Pilot Talk, and then yeah, I kind of was just like, yo, like I love this man. Like obviously I'm a nerd in general. I love history. I love music history. So I love samples. I'm like, Spitta has great samples. I also love what he talks about. Like he's just having fun. Like, yo, he's living his life. He likes to smoke weed. He's rapping about smoking weed. He likes his cars. He likes to rap about his cars. Like he likes, now he has a son. He raps about his son. Like it just felt so like just authentic and just like honest and cool and not forced. So I've been like a big fan for so long, literally since I was definitely a teenager, maybe like 14, 15. But yeah, I love him. He's
yeah,
love him.
yeah, like you and I had talked about Spitta
Yes.
so much, and like I want to say the first time I really sat down and listened to a full Currency project was probably Covert Coup, because
Ooh.
that was around the time when like
Yes.
Alchemist had really started his like the
Yeah.
modern run that he's been on. Like it
No.
was like that year, like around that time, it was like Damo Genesis's No Idols, and Bronson's the Bronson project, and
Yo,
like
you're taking me back to a very amazing time in my life, yo. Oh my God. Iconic. I love it.
yo,
I love everything about
like,
it. Yeah.
um um like if you had to pick one, what's the one Spitta project you go back to more than any other? Like, I don't even want to ask you what your favorite is, because like you can have a favorite, but
Oh,
it can be one that like
this is so
it's
hard.
I know
Okay, hold
it,
on.
there's never an easy way to ask this
Hard.
question, but like,
No, this is no, because like this because we talked about it, but like I literally listen to like I love him. He's so great to me. I listen to him all the time. Okay, let me think. Also, he has so much music that like sometimes I'm like, all right, like what project am I even listening to?
yeah, it's intimidating sometimes, yo. Like,
Yeah. Probably drive-in theater.
interesting.
Drive-in,
Okay.
drive-in theater, I go back to a lot simply because I mean I love all the songs in there, but I love High Top Whites a lot. I love Stolen. I love ET. Yeah, there are a lot of songs in here that I really, really love. I know that's not like the answer you were expecting. That's the one
That's
I go
okay.
back to a lot. But definitely, there are so many other ones too that are like my favorites. Like I love Weekend at Bernie's. I love Verde
Hmm.
Terrace. Like I love Return to the Winter Circle. Yeah, I love more Saturday Night cartoons. Definitely also go back to Independence Day. I remember like downloading that off of Dat Piff and being like so hyped. Oh, I go back to Covert Coop a lot too, though. That's definitely one. And when they put that on streaming, I was like, oh, like it's up. Like we need
Yeah.
everything on here. And I definitely go back to whatever project he had with, I think he put out a few with Roddy and Trademark, but there's one that has like a blue
Yeah.
cover. Yeah. I go back to that a lot.
Those are all like wow, those are all really great choices. Um before I even go further, yeah, because like they put Covert Coup up for the 10th anniversary, which
Yeah.
like A, wow, I can't believe Covert Coup is 10 years old.
10? Yeah.
B, they managed to get it up with all the samples intact because there's so many projects from the blog era that like get put like I remember when they put Crit Was Here on streaming services, and
Yeah.
there's no like most of the
Everything.
like either like the songs didn't make it or the beat got changed, and it's
Yeah.
like damn, well then what's the point, like why do it, like
What happened with I think they put up, oh God, what was that? They put up Chance's project and they couldn't keep all the same. And
yeah,
I'm
it
like,
was
dang.
like I'm still yeah, like I'm happy I still have like my DatPiff and Pirate
Same,
Bay downloads, like
same. All that LimeWire and then FrostWire after they shut down LimeWire. I got
like
all that stuff in here, all the little underscores on my tracks. I'm
jeez.
not getting rid of that. No. I love
Yeah,
Spitter so much. He's
yeah, me too. Like he really just like on top of the fact that the music is dope, like for me, I'm big on Pilot Talk 3. I'm big on Covert Coup, of course.
yes.
I'm really big on oh man, the Cathedral project. I forget what it's called. It was an EP.
Ooh,
I
yes. Oh my God.
um who it was him and one producer. I can't remember who it was.
Oh God.
It was
Chasing Cash.
Chasing Cash. There you go. Yep. Yeah. So the Cathedral Project with Chasing Cash. That
Oh,
Gold song is one of my favorite shits he's ever done.
yes.
Like,
Wait. Okay, now I'm thinking that there are like more. Nah. I really honestly like it's so hard to pick one I go back to. I go back to this man's music so much.
like it's
Yeah,
comfort food. Like Spitta is
it
comfort
really
food.
is. It really is.
And like and like whenever I talk to people about him, that's the best way for me to put that. Like like on top of the music being dope, like he's really like he does like lifestyle rap. Like it's just
Yes.
very
That's why I
you know
love it.
like a lot of people like to like people look at people like Spitta and people like Griselda and people like Smoke Dizza and even people like people like Megan the Stallion and like people who have a very specific thing they do well, and like Pusha T is another good one, like people who do things like one thing really well and just kind of like refine it and tweak it just a little bit, as opposed to like shedding a skin every album like the way
Absolutely.
Kanye or like Playboy Cardi does, like.
Yeah.
And I really think there's like Spitta was one of the first rappers who made me realize like the value of just like knowing what you're good at and
Yeah.
tweaking it that way. Like I wrote a whole article about it because of him,
Yo,
like
I love that. Oh my God. That's really it. And like even the fact that he knew like, all right, like it's cool being like part of 504 Boys and like rocking with Wayne and obviously still love them, but also knowing like this isn't the direction I want to go and I don't really want to rap about these things. I don't really want to be in this mix. Like just like his
right.
authenticity and like you said, like the lifestyle rap, like, yo, this is my life. I'm gonna rap about it. Like, I'm gonna go clean these cars. Like, I'm gonna make a YouTube series about me riding around in my cars and going to car shows. I'm also like
Mhm.
make playlists for Tidal that I listen to when I'm like cruising in my cars too. Like, he's so cool. He's so cool, and he just be chilling. Like, I love a good like just like chill, positive, like happy dude. I like he's such a good rapper and a great guy.
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure he like bought I think he bought a restaurant, like a burger spot in New Orleans too. So like he has it's like so he's got that going too. I think it's he bought a restaurant. I don't remember what kind of restaurant it is, but like he bought one. And like, I just like there's so much value in just like knowing what you want to do and just like moving on and doing it yourself, because
Yeah,
like if you wait, like chances are like when it comes to that, if you wait for other people, like the shit's not gonna happen.
absolutely.
Like he really like he saw what he wanted and turned Jet Life into this like
No,
he turned Jet Life into a lifestyle. Like people really
literally,
like live and die by that shit.
yo,
Like
throwing it up and everything. Like,
always.
wow, yeah, he's definitely one of my biggest inspirations too. Now that like we're like even talking about this, just like yeah, like I'm gonna just make this thing and like I'm gonna just do it and I'm gonna like build on it, make some merch, have a few shows or whatever to
See,
like do it. Yeah.
one of my favorite spin moments, since you were talking about the YouTube series, was when Elliot Wilson went down to New Orleans to do the car test, and he just had him in, and he had him in there in the
Yo,
Elliot looked so fucking uncomfortable. He was not about that shit at all.
you don't think so? I really feel like I don't know. I've never been in a car that's bouncing up and down like that, so I might have been a little uncomfortable too.
Like just the way he was shaking and like the way his face looked, I
Oh,
was like, he was not expecting that shit like at all. Like he looked like he was having fun, but he just looked like he was going through it, you know? Like
those cars be turning up, yo. Those cars be, yeah. I definitely like watching them from the outside. I don't know if I'm ever gonna sit inside of one that's gonna do all that because, you know, I ain't trying to get motion sick.
I got it one day. Like I want that to happen. I don't care.
Yeah,
Like
you're right.
you know, just to say that you
You
did, you
did
know,
it
like that.
exactly.
Yeah, you know, you like hydraulics and shit like that are not popping like that over here. So like you don't really you like it would be like a you know like I imagine it would be the same way that like somebody from New Orleans might look at the way like people in New York and Philly be on bikes. You know, like bike culture is huge out
Like,
here,
huge.
and like you know like that's how you know it's summertime most of the time is like you
Yep.
know the people just on the bikes and the
You're revving up.
ATVs.
Yes.
Oh, like
ATVs. I be like, yo, be careful, y'all. Y'all on ATVs on the road? Like, what's
like
going on? Get in a car. What?
it's so much, but like when it's done well and people don't die, it's just like you know like
Yeah,
like you almost get it. It's like, oh, like that's why
absolutely.
they do it. Like
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like you said too, I love that like it's a regional thing and it kind of does represent, yeah, like I've had friends that have like come up here, like even if I go like visit family in Philly and they're like, you know, like you see all the ATVs going by or all the bikes, you're like, dang, like they were riding by for like 5 minutes now. It's just like endless, like endless bikes and ATVs. I love it.
yeah, and then you could even translate that to something like Jersey Club, which like like the relationship between Jersey Club and Baltimore Club and like which is like
Yeah.
that's always something that I've like as someone from Jersey I've always grappled with because like some people think they're the same but they're not
Yeah.
really, and like there's like a whole history there that I don't 100% fully understand, but
Yeah.
I know that that shit makes me move like no other. And
Yeah.
Cookie Kawhi just dropped a new project, and I gotta listen to it today.
Yes. Yes.
Shout out
Yes.
to Cookie. She's Jersey's finest.
Yes, definitely. I mean, we did earlier this year, we did a whole month on Jersey Club and just kind of like the
Yeah, I remember.
history of it and even like, you know, its roots in Newark and also yes, the connection with Baltimore that can't be denied and just like highlighting the people that like, yeah, we're out here in Jersey and like what they heard, also had some stuff they were doing and made something really, really fire and built upon a tradition and a history. So definitely, oh, I love me some Jersey Club.
Man, like yeah, like I just it like it's just that one specific rhythm, because
Yeah.
like because like in middle school and high school people would just be banging on lunch tables and it was just like the same rhythm every time, and it's just like there,
Yeah.
like people who aren't from here or like even if you're here from Baltimore just don't get it,
Yeah.
like people like like I've played it for people and they've been like, oh, it's just kind of like it's just like it doesn't really change, and it's like, but like that's it, like it's just that's like a beautiful thing about like electronic music and just like all like
Yeah.
electronic and dance music are just like built on these like very basic rhythms, but it's like you can't stop moving, like I don't know, like it's just it makes a sort of sense to me and to you that it might not make to somebody from like
Definitely not.
hmm,
Definitely
like
not.
well I don't want to say Detroit or Chicago because Detroit and Chicago have their own
Yeah, no, I feel like
they have
they
their
would
own
get it.
scenes out there.
Yeah, I
Like,
feel like they would
but
get it. But even the commitment too from the people here, like people like Cookie and Unique and Lil Man, all those people that have
mhm.
just helped take it to like this global place. It just makes me like very proud and happy because it is really, really cool. And then also like, yeah, knowing the roots of it in Baltimore and all that was done there and just how important Baltimore is to music as a whole is really amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, like there's really treasure everywhere when it comes to this history shit, and
Yeah.
like it's just great to have people like you willing to do that work and like really give people a place to understand it, you know, like.
And shout out to K Swift too.
Shout out to K Swift for sure.
Rest in peace. What an icon.
God, like how long has it been? Damn, because like, man, I completely forgot. Damn, I don't remember how long it's been, but either. But
2008, 2008,
wow.
2008. Yeah, wow. Yeah, she legacy and really like just did so much. Ooh, I love her as well.
Yeah, like there's just so much to pick through there, and like shout out to dance music because I feel like a lot of people, you know, like whether it's like Jersey or Baltimore club or like Chicago footwork or Detroit techno, like whatever, like I just feel like dance music I feel like dance music doesn't really like I feel like the appeal is lost on a lot of people, and that makes me sad because that shit makes me so happy. And like that, and it's like that sort of musical that sort of musical regionalism is just so tight, like, you know, like that's important because like we're all different and we have all these different things, and it's good to cherish that.
Definitely. Sorry, I just got a reminder that popped up making all this noise. I'm like, stop.
Nah, you're all good. We're about to wrap up here anyway. I think I could because I don't have any more. I don't got any more notes. But like, it's just like,
aww, this was so fun. I feel like we literally were just having like a regular conversation.
Yeah, that's always the goal. So like, yeah, Nadirah, thank you so much. This was so dope.
Thank you. This was so much fun. I can't wait for everybody to hear it. And, you know, I love talking about Black things, especially TV, film, music. Yeah.
Yeah, you already know. Like, that's why this was so important to me. That's why I wanted to make this, because, you know, like this is a space for me to bring in whoever I want, like particularly Black people that I think are doing crazy shit everywhere. And, you know, like I like rap and film, or like they saved my life. Like, so, you know, like, thank you for even being interested enough to come and do it. I don't take that for granted.
Like, of course. And thank you for creating something that is so important and just influential that people really, really need to hear. These conversations are super important, and thinking about the people that will listen to them years from now and learn from this and also get to experience this, like kind of like we did. I love it. You know, I love me a digital archive. I love some records. I want people to be able to go and research. So I love that.
Yeah, I'm just trying to catch up to you, honestly. Like, you know, so like, I had to say it. Like,
that is so funny. You are hilarious, and I can say the same thing. So,
oh man, nah, we're farther along than we realized. Like, we really, really are. Thanks for listening. Shout out to y'all for making it this far, and shout out to all the Black people listening too, because y'all really impeccable. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and tell a friend to come through next time. 1.